I'm Professor Andrew Robson. I'm the Director of the Applied Agricultural Remote Sensing Centre out of the University of New England. We have two main divisions in our Remote Sensing Centre. One of them uses remote sensing satellites predominantly to do model development in tree crops like avocados, macadamias, sugarcane, rice, and look at things like yield forecasting, pest and disease, agronomic management, different growth stages of the crops, things like that. And so a really strong team domestically but also internationally with a lot of work. Currently about 20 industries over 10 countries, which is really good for a small little group. And then we have our commodity mapping team based here at Rockley Markets in sunny Brisbane, and the reason being is that a lot of the industry bodies are located in the same complex as well. We have Australian Banana Growers Council, we have Avocados Australia, and Australian Mango Industry Association all close by, so it means that they can directly engage with our mapping team as they're working through the project. Our commodity mapping team based up here in themselves have been extremely successful on the world stage, so not only doing mapping of commodities in Australia but also in South Africa, and now with Dilmar Tea mapping all their tea and cinnamon crops and building them a spatial database to manage all their data a lot better. So the need to map individual crops, first sort of aware of it in 2004 where citrus canker occurred in emerald, and was working with Department of Primary Industries, and part of the role then was to go up and provide some remote sensing support of where citrus canker was occurring. But one thing was apparent, there was no data available to show where all the orchards were. Dan was fortunate to work with the sugar industry for nearly 2 decades now, and they're one of the best industries that have mapped every single field and have every variety, every return, every yield recorded by the mills in these GIS systems. So that opened my eyes really to saying, well, this is what you can achieve if you've got the spatial information but also the data all tied into it. There became the mechanism to finally do this in Australia with the Rural R&D for Profit project call. It was saying, how do we link industries, how do we link RDCs together on a common theme? And in this case, we had a good rapport with the CEOs from Avocados Australia, Citrus Australia and Australian Macadamia Society, and all three of them said the same thing. We don't know how big our industry is, we don't know where it's located or how fast it's spreading, and we need to know that information for planning. So they pretty clearly said, we want this and we want yield forecasting. And so that started, and so the mapping team here, led by Craig Shephard, they started mapping all those and built the first Australian tree crop map. That has grown and grown now to be, I think, 15 industries, both domestically and overseas.
My name's Craig Shephard. I lead our mapping team. I'm a remote sensing scientist or spatial analyst, and I've been mapping land use for well over 25 years now, and I've been really fortunate to work with the team at UNE under Professor Andrew Robson since about 2017, where we first applied our skills to develop a national tree crop map in Australia. So the Australian tree crop map, like the protected cropping one, just presents the location and extent of selected agriculture commodities. But what we realised after listening to industry, that resource wasn't enough. So in speaking to the industry bodies, we realised that industry actually wanted to support and include more information in that map. And that's really led to the impetus of the current project, supported by the Future Food Systems and Hort Innovation, where we're now spatially enabling selected tree crop industries to develop their own map for their own use. All building on the Protected Cropping Systems map, which was supported by the Future Food Systems CRC. That was published in 2023, a really fantastic piece of work where we sought to map the location and extent of all greenhouse and net structures, protected cropping systems across Australia. That was the first baseline map for that industry. In essence, we have two maps, the tree crop protected cropping maps in the public domain, location and extent only, but each industry the centre is now supporting to develop their own map and engineer in additional information like variety, planting year, ownership, irrigation status, you name it. And that information is collated by the industry, and then we support them with tools to analyse that data so that they can make more informed decisions about their industry for their growers. So in essence, bringing industries in and developing their own map has grown our team. We're supporting IDOs within each industry to make their own map. So effectively, what started as 1 or 2 land use mappers has now grown to 6, 7, 8, which has been fantastic. The other reason for engaging industry in building their own maps is we can't build that map with remote sensing alone. You really need that knowledge within the industry, and so that's where we're supporting them with the tools to do it.
My name is Morrison. I'm currently the Spatial Coordinator at AARSC. So I'm currently working with various food industries. I plan their data structures. I learn the things the industry would like to record, would like to learn. I plan a data structure based on that, and I plan any functionality we can provide for them, making sure industry has the tools they need to map their own industry.
For the tree crop map in Australia, mapping program which moves around the country by growing region. So we're progressively updating the map. You might be able to see Abbie over my shoulder working on that now.
My name is Abbie Rankin. I work as a spatial analyst with AARSC, and I do a lot of the day-to-day mapping for the Australian tree crop map. I've worked on a lot of mapping at the desktop and seeing any change in current tree crops that we're mapping, as well as searching for new tree crops, so a lot of the new industries that we're doing like hazelnuts, cherries, summer fruit, lychees. Not only looking and researching for where new trees might be, but also where there's any change in what we've currently mapped. It's allowed me to do a lot of field work around Australia, which has been really good.
So the biggest challenge is the currency of the map. So it takes a lot of time and effort to interpret a range of satellite imagery, principally to keep pace with these industries. So as new plantings go in the ground, we need to update the map. And similarly, when orchards are removed, we want to take them out of the map. So that's the biggest challenge, maintaining the currency of the data. So we've built extra tools to be able to support that, in that we engage industry in informing the map. So when there's a change at their end, they're planting out a new block, they can use one of our apps and send us a little bit of information, and that allows us to make the edit.
The level of mapping that they're producing, the data is used by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, so it's extremely high level. And the reason is purely the competency and the experience of the staff doing it. They're all land use mappers, predominantly ex-government land use mappers. They live and breathe maps, that's what they do, and that shows. And also strongly engaged with the industries to make sure it's seen as a industry product.
We build these maps to national standards, so we're an observer with the Australian Collaborative Land Use and Management Program, and they set the national standards for land use mapping. So all the mapping products we build meet those standards. That's important in terms of the information that is shared, which in the public domain will only ever be location, extent and tree crop type. Whereas for the data sets we're building for industry, well, they're all secured, importantly, because there's potentially sensitive information within, but each map can inform the other, and that's what's been really fantastic in progressing the work within this project. And very fortunate to receive some fantastic recognition on the world stage. So the Australian Tree Crop Map Dashboard, which was awarded Best Dashboard at the User Conference in San Diego, held by Esri each year. And more recently, the founder and CEO, Jack Dangermond, has released the book, The Power of Where, featuring a lot of different examples flying GIS around the world, and fantastic to see our dashboard features in it.
The achievement has been phenomenal, and that's why groups like Dilmah, who are the famous tea producers in Sri Lanka, we are now working with them to map the location of all their tea and cinnamon, but also bring together their decades and decades of industry data together in a really nice dashboard. They can use it to interpret and interrogate all their information within that mapping context, but also they can report better, they can make decisions better, they can use it to demonstrate, improve sustainability, all the great things they can now do because they have all the tools to show this. Also internationally we do, or the mapping team do, all the pecans in South Africa and all the macadamias in South Africa as well. So it's quite amazing. It's why this is working so well over the last decade and growing is that the industry bodies are leading the mapping. So they are the face of it, how it looks, how it feels, how the data is presented, how the data is protected, and the narrative of why the industry need to do this.
So the map is freely available. That makes it perfect to apply across a range of applications. So some of the recent ones we're very aware of is we support analysis of the map in response to natural disaster and recovery. So increasingly in Australia you're seeing tropical cyclone, severe thunderstorm and bushfire events. So we're supporting industry to understand where the impacts and how much potential they are through a web-based mapping application. You can find that on our website, and it's updated live with information sourced from the Bureau. I just want to acknowledge the Future Food System CRC, fantastic supporters of our work. We wouldn't be doing this without them. Really appreciate their help and support for all the mapping that we do.